was a utile jewel. It was in green tile and white tile. It was as clean as an operating room. Everything was in its proper place, and everything worked. 20 seconds after the man tweaked the spigots, he stepped into a bath of exactly the temperature he wanted, washed himself clean, tweaked the drain, stepped out, dried himself on a clean towel, and stepped into the bedroom again, without once missing a bar of the tune he was whistling, or thinking there was anything remarkable about it. After combing his hair, he dressed. Slacks hadn't made their appearance then, but grey flannels had. He put on a fresh pair, with polo shirt and blue lounge coat. Then he strolled back to the kitchen, a counterpart of the bathroom, where his wife was icing a cake. She was a small woman, considerably younger than himself, but as there was a smear of chocolate on her face, and she wore a loose green smock, it was hard to tell what she looked like, except for a pair of rather voluptuous legs that showed between smock and shoes. She was studying a design in a book of such designs that showed a bird holding a scroll in its beak, and now attempted a reproduction of it with a pencil on a piece of tablet paper. He watched for a few moments, glanced at the cake, said it looked swell. This was perhaps an understatement, for it was a gigantic affair, 18 inches across the middle and 4 layers high, covered with a sheen like satin. But after his comment, he yawned, said, "Well, don't see there's much else I can do around here. Guess I'll take a walk down the street." "You going to be home for supper?" "I'll try to make it, but if I'm not home by 6, don't wait for me. I may be tied up." "I want to know." "I told you if I'm not home by 6. "That doesn't do me any good at all. I'm making this cake for Mrs. Whitley, and she's going to pay me $3 for it. Now, if you're going to be home, I'll spend part of that money on lamb chops for your supper. If you're not, I'll buy something the children will like better."
"Then count me out."
"That's all I want to know." There was a grim note in the scene that was obviously out of key with his humor. He stood around uncertainly, then made a bid for appreciation.
"I fixed up those trees. Tied them up good so the limbs won't bend down when the avocados get big the way they did last year. Cut the grass. Looks pretty nice out there."
"You going to water the grass?"
"I did water it."
He said this with quiet complacency, for he had set a little trap for her, and she had fallen into it. But the silence that followed had a slightly ominous feel to it, as though he himself might have fallen into a trap that he wasn't aware of. Uneasily, he added,
"Gave it a good wetting down."
"Pretty early for watering the grass, isn't it?"
"Oh, one time's as good as another."
"Most people, when they water the grass, wait till later in the day, when the sun's not so hot and it'll do some good, and not be a waste of good water that somebody else has to pay for."
"Who, for instance?"
"I don't see anybody working around here but me."
"You see any work I can do that I don't do? So you get done early." "Come on, Mildred, what are you getting at?"
"She's waiting for you, so go on."
"Who's waiting for me?"
"I think you know."
"If you're talking about Maggie Biederhoff, I haven't seen her for a week, and she never did mean a thing to me except somebody to play rummy with when I had nothing else to do. That's practically all the time, if you ask me. I wasn't asking you."
"What do you do with her? Play rummy with her for a while, and then unbutton that red dress she's always wearing without any brassieres under it, and flop her on the bed, and then have yourself a nice sleep, and then get up and see if there's some cold chicken in her icebox, and then play rummy some more, and then flop her on the bed again? Gee, that must be swell. I can't imagine anything nicer than that." His tightening face muscles showed his temper was rising, and he opened his mouth to say something. Then he thought better of it. Then presently he said,
"Oh, all right,"
in what was intended to be a lofty, resigned way, and started out of the kitchen. "Wouldn't you like to bring her something?"
"Bring her? What do you mean?"
"Well, there was some batter left over, and I made up some little cakes I was saving for the children, but fat as she is, she must like sweets, and here, I'll wrap them up for her."
"How do you like to go to hell?"
She laid aside the bird sketch and faced him. She started to talk. She had little to say about love, fidelity, or morals. She talked about money and his failure to find work, and when she mentioned the lady of his choice, it was not as a siren who had stolen his love, but as the cause of the shiftlessness that had lately come over him. He broke in frequently, making excuses for himself, and repeating that there was no work, and insisting bitterly that if Mrs. Biederhoff had come into his life, a guy was entitled to some peace instead